Welcome to Mind Your Biz, live at Farcon. I am Rachel Wilkins, and I have the pleasure of sitting down right now with the creator of Base, Mr. Jesse Pollak. So good to see you.
So good to be here.
This is a vibe, one might say. It's quite based.
You might say that.
You just came off stage with Ted Not Lasso, and we were talking about kind of the ethos of what it is to be based. Can you, for somebody who's like brand new to this ecosystem, what does it mean to be based?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one thing that's important to recognize is that the term based actually predated base. It has a long history, long heritage. I think originated kind of in the early 2000s with Lil B, the base god. It has been used pretty widely in Black communities in America. And I think when we think about using the term based, that's kind of like what we look to as the beginning of it. The way we're seeing people use based in the base ecosystem is, I think in a similar way, it's about recognizing people for being authentic, for being creative, for being boundary pushing. It's about saying like you do the right thing even when it's hard. It's about saying like we work on things together as a team. It's kind of just about recognizing people for being based, like for doing their thing, for showing up. And so, it's been cool to see the community start to kind of triangulate what that means for themselves, and fun to be a part of it.
Talk to us a little bit about your background, because you came at this from multiple different avenues.
Yeah.
Like, talk to us about kind of from an aspirational standpoint when you founded or created Base in just August of last year, which is insane to think that it's not even been 12 months yet. Yeah. But tell us kind of what was your aspirations, in terms of this?
I mean, I've now been in the Coinbase orbit for seven and a half years. I joined through an acquisition of a company I started. So I ran that for 5 years. And, I've always been kind of a person, founder, who wants to do big things on my own. And my first 5 years at Coinbase were really about kind of scaling our existing consumer businesses. So Coinbase Pro, Coinbase Wallet. I led all the engineering teams building those. And I think in kind of early 2021, I kind of had this idea of like, what would it look like for me to found something again? I had that like hunger, I think that a lot of founders do, and took some time off and ultimately decided to come and try and do something at Coinbase. And I wasn't sure what it was going to be. And that started what was kind of like a year-long journey of trying a bunch of things, failing, learning. And at the end of all of that trying and failing, we kind of discovered Base. And then we launched the testnet in February, we launched the mainnet in August, and now here we are 8.5 months later, and Base is the largest L2 in the world. And so I think it's happened a lot faster than I expected, and in some ways it's felt longer. It's been now almost 2.5 years of really hard work to get here. And I think the whole time, the thing that's been kind of pushing me and guiding me is this vision of what would it look like if we built a new global economy that everyone could be a part of, that gave everyone an equal playing field, level playing field, regardless of where you are, who you are, you can build. And I think that's what Base is becoming.
Have you had any surprises yet of the kind of clients that are jumping into Base in terms of new economy?
I don't know about it, surprises. I'd say like I'm constantly blown away by the diversity of people who are building on Base. You have people who do seaweed Onchain, right? On Base selling seaweed. You have people selling other kinds of food. You have people doing music Onchain. You have games. You have social. You obviously have a lot of financial trading applications, USDC payments, global send and receive. And so I think that I'm pretty continually blown away by just like how many different places people come from and how much different expertise those people bring to build these new kind of next generation of the internet products on chain and use Base to make their lives better.
Mm-hmm. We're sitting at Farcon. It's the second edition. Last year there was only 40 people that attended. There's 500 people in the gorgeous California sun right now. What role does Farcon play in this ecosystem for you? And this is just kind of a hotbed for like brilliant entrepreneurial minds. Like, how do you see those kind of integrating?
Yeah. I mean, I've been a Farcaster user from basically day one. I think the reason why I was so excited from the beginning and why we spend so much time in the Farcaster community is that it feels like having an open social network that anyone can be a part of, that any developer can build on, and have kind of surety that it's going to stay open, stay something that they can be a part of. is kind of like the substrate that will enable this next generation of on-chain consumer products. And so I think it's been really cool to see how, just in the last six to 12 months, that's grown from being, more niche, just like couple thousand people, to now there being, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who are using Farcaster and kind of like benefiting from using this open social network, but also building on Farcaster. I think Dan said a quote about this earlier in his talk. Something like, half of the people who are Farcaster active users are also Farcaster active builders, and that's crazy. That proportion of people who are actually contributing to making the network more vibrant and more powerful and more expressive is kind of mind blowing. I don't think it's anything we've seen before.
I 100% agree. It feels very much like a Y Combinator, the kind of people that you're running into. So how do we, with that in mind, obviously there's kind of a layer of privilege that comes with this group of people, but how do we ensure that we're getting this technology and this way to do business into the hands of more diverse people and perhaps communities that don't have the same level of access that we do? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I think crypto and this new on-chain platform that we're building is fundamentally global, and it is fundamentally open to everyone. And that said, that doesn't mean it's evenly distributed, right? It's accessible, but it's not evenly distributed. So I think a lot of what we focus on base is how do we distribute it better? And so we've been doing all sorts of things. We've been supporting people to run meetups in their local communities, and I think every weekend now we're having 2 or 3 or 5 meetups happen that we give money to fund, and we give them resources to help do it. But there's actually people on the ground who are based who are just doing it themselves. And so I think that's a big one. We're also seeing a lot of people start to use tools built on Base to actually bring in their own local economies, whether that's by onboarding local stores for doing payments, or by using USDC to do send and receive for international payments. I think people are starting to see, wow, these are these really powerful tools. What if I actually use them to make my local communities better? And that's something that we're really getting behind. And so I think a lot of what we need to do is not think kind of monolithically of one team or the Base team or the Farcaster team is going to solve bringing the entire world on chain. No, it's that's not possible. What is possible is building open protocols and building open networks that anyone can contribute to, and then the world can bring itself on chain. Right. The people in their local communities have the best expertise to figure out how do they actually take this technology and use it to make their lives better, their local communities better, and we just need to give them the platform to do that.
For anybody who's watching this, who's not at Farcon, because we put this live this afternoon, a lot of creators follow Rug Radio, and the creators as an artist are a pretty big part of this conversation. But we're seeing here buying coffee using Base, where there was a gelato bar outside. It was pretty fabulous. What other kind of protocols or businesses are you seeing that are exciting to you?
Yeah, I mean, all of it. I think commerce is a big one, right? We've gone from, I don't think basically any real on-chain commerce happening a few years ago to here you can buy coffee, you can buy gelato, you can buy swag. We're seeing hundreds of restaurants across the company with things like Blackbird start to accept on-chain USDC payments and have on-chain loyalty. So I think commerce is going to be huge. Obviously, social networks like Farcaster are starting to emerge and starting to grow really, really quickly. We're seeing games and kind of new games that are global by nature, that have money baked into them at their core, but are still really fun to play, not just kind of play to earn where people are just trying to make money. It's actual fun, and it uses the money as a way of creating more fun. So I think games are going to be huge. I think a ton of stuff that's happening right now around new kinds of communities coming on chain. We're seeing things with sports, like bracket game. We're seeing things like religions, Thank You Base God, where it's literally people are building new religions on chain. Obviously meme communities where people are expressing their creativity through these characters and kind of cultures, subcultures that they're creating, and using that to onboard new people. I mean, again, the thing that is constantly kind of blowing our mind is just the level of diversity of different tactics and approaches and experiences that people are building on chain. And I feel just lucky to get to be a part of it.
So I feel like we can't not talk about DGen L3, this model of kind of this altruistic sensibility that's brought a lot of people onto Farcaster and a lot of people using Base technology. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's been incredible to see kind of DGen emerge. They were a real innovation. The tipping model where you kind of tip and that contributes to kind of the airdrop that you receive. It's actually a really novel distribution mechanism for a token where you're kind of bootstrapping off of the like social activity that's happening in the network to generate this kind of graph that you can then use to distribute economic value. And so I think that was a real innovation. And then I think the really cool thing to see about Degen is like they didn't stop there, right? They created a real community of people building things with Degen. They launched an L3, which is like another developer platform that plugs into Base that makes it possible for people to build new kinds of applications. I think what we're seeing is kind of the emergence of a sub-economy within the broader Base economy. And that for me is again just kind of indicative of the level of diversity of perspectives and experiences and products that people are building to create this global on-chain economy that we're going to bring everyone into.
So awesome. So last year, throughout the summer, there was this kind of explosive growth for you. You guys we were seeing blue dots everywhere.
Yeah.
There's some initiative that you called Onchain Summer.
Yeah.
And you're bringing it back.
We're bringing it back.
What's happening?
Yeah, so Onchain Summer is coming back, Onchain Summer 2, as we lovingly call it. I think the vision with Onchain Summer is that every summer we get a shot at bringing the world on-chain. And the best way to do that is by lifting up builders to create incredible experiences that people actually want to use to get them on-chain. And so this summer, we're coming back. There's millions of dollars of funding for builders. There's going to be massive effort in getting distribution to those builders so that when they build great products, you can actually get them in front of real human beings. And my hope is that we actually get to take hundreds or thousands of shots on goal, where even if just 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 of those shots on goal grow to be viral and have 1 million people interact with it, that's a huge step forward for bringing more of the world on chain. And so I really think that we are at this inflection point as an industry where the infrastructure is ready, the products are being built, and now they're just starting to kind of catch fire. And this summer, I expect we'll see a bunch of products catch fire and a bunch of people come on chain.
Was there anything from Onchain Summer last year that you think had that stickiness that really kind of brought the masses?
I mean, I think what we saw last summer was that the infrastructure was still not quite there, but we still saw a bunch of experiences that people built, right? Like, for instance, the Base channel in Farcaster, that was from Onchain Summer. It was originally called Onchain Summer. That was the channel, and then we renamed it to Base after the summer was over. And now it's the largest channel on Farcaster with more than 100,000 people in it. We saw Frontech, which is another social product launch during Onchain Summer. They're about to launch V2. I think that's going to be massive. A lot of the grants infrastructure that we used in Onchain Summer is now re-emerging in rounds, which I think is the most effective grants tool that we've ever used on the Base side to distribute resources to builders. And so I feel like last summer was kind of just the beginning. Right? It was our first stab. We saw a lot of people give a good first effort, and there's sparks that kind of flew there that have been turning into bigger and bigger things. And this summer, we're going to see that again at like 10x the scale. And I think my call to builders is that if you are a creative, if you are a builder, if you're a developer, build something cool on chain this summer. We have all of the resources you could ever ask for to create your dreams on chain, on Base, or anywhere else on the super chain. And so my ask would be just start dreaming and start building, and we'll see you in Onchain Summer.
What a great way to end the interview. A call to action. Thanks,
Awesome.
Jesse.
Thanks
Such
so much.
a pleasure.
So fun.
Thanks.